This is a test of the local emergency warning system. I have just sent a signal out that has triggered the sirens, and now they're starting to report back.
Each month, Boone County and many other counties across Missouri test their tornado and severe weather outdoor warning systems. Boone County's 80 sirens are positioned throughout the county to maximize coverage in populated areas. The sirens are activated at Columbia and Boone County Joint Communications.
We don't always have to wait for the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning. If we are getting reliable information that we have a tornado or a funnel cloud.
The sirens are activated for tornadoes and potentially dangerous severe storms, but the purpose of the sirens is often misunderstood.
We will often have people say, I couldn't hear that siren inside my home. I was washing dishes, I was running my vacuum cleaner, I couldn't hear it. Why couldn't I hear the siren? It's not meant for those that are inside. It's meant for the folks that are outdoors.
According to the National Weather Service, the sirens are an alert to observe conditions around you. If there is a visible imminent weather threat, immediately take shelter in the safest structure available. If there is no sign of an imminent threat, go indoors and immediately get additional information about the storm from a local television station, weather radio, or online. When a siren stops sounding, it does not mean that the potential weather threat has passed. Across Missouri, sirens are generally sounded for about 3 minutes, not until the threat ends. And again, the sirens are meant to alert those who are outdoors.
And keep updated with the National Weather Service. That's why we tell them, get a NOAA weather radio. Then they can make the determination of when they feel it is safe.
Many areas of Missouri, particularly rural areas, do not have sirens. But in areas with sirens, it's important to know what it means when they're sounded, the actions to take in response, and to be aware of the siren's limited capabilities. It's all part of being storm aware.
The terms tornado siren and outdoor warning siren generally refer to the same thing. However, the correct term to use is outdoor emergency warning siren, because an outdoor emergency warning siren can warn citizens about more than just tornadoes, and also because these sirens are intended to warn people who are outdoors of emergencies. You might not hear these sirens if you are indoors, especially if you're asleep or listening to TV or music. In Warrenville, we have 6 outdoor emergency warning sirens located throughout town. They are located as follows: behind the community center, at Curtis and Woodland, Warrenville Lakes, Fox Hollow, Cantera, and Summer Lakes. When are the sirens activated? When they are tested on the first Tuesday of each month at 10 a.m., In case of severe weather, including tornado warning and or severe thunderstorm warning with winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, and in case of a major hazardous material or chemical spill. What should you do when you hear the sirens go off? When you hear a siren, take cover immediately in your basement or a small room such as an interior bathroom or hall closet. Stay away from windows and glass. Get under a large sturdy piece of furniture such as a workbench if it's available, and cover your head. If you're in a large building, go to the most interior portion of the building. Close all doors and stay away from exterior windows and doors. Monitor the radio or television if possible. Do not call 911 for information. Only call 911 if you have a life-threatening emergency. Sirens are not always used to warn citizens of approaching tornadoes, but that's what they're used for most often. That's why it's important to not only take cover, but to try and turn on a radio or TV for more information. How will you know when it's safe to leave the shelter? There is no all-clear sounding for the siren system. If the sirens are activated again, it's generally because of a new threat, or a warning that has expired and a new warning has been issued. When the sirens sound for a second time, it does not mean it's safe to come out of the shelter areas. Listen to local radio and TV, or check the internet to find out if the weather emergency has passed. The best way to know if it's safe to leave your shelter is by monitoring NOAA weather radio. Your NOAA weather radio can broadcast an alarm to warn you when bad weather threatens your community. So even if you are indoors or asleep, you can be alerted when there is an emergency. Remember, when sirens sound, take cover and tune in.
Today, meteorologists can more accurately forecast severe weather than ever before. The public can have almost instant access to weather alerts and forecasts. But the National Weather Service still recommends a trusty device that's been on electronic store shelves for decades, NOAA Weather Radio.
We would love to see weather radios become like smoke detectors. Almost every house has smoke detectors now. We think weather radios should be the same way. They're not that expensive. Once you have it, it's going to last probably for a lifetime.
Outbreak today of tornado.
Cramper encourages everyone to follow the weather on television and other media. But a weather radio with an alert function will sound 24 hours a day. And overnight tornadoes are more dangerous and potentially deadly because people are often asleep and unaware of the threat.
We always tell people, watch the media, listen to them, they're going to tell you what's going on. But at 2 in the morning when you're asleep, your television will not turn on by itself. A weather radio will set off an alarm to alert you there's something going on.
Emergency managers regularly point to cases in which residents with weather radios were awakened and alerted to the danger and took shelter, likely saving them and their families from injury or death. There's another advantage to weather radios, too. When people take cover in the basement, they often do not have access to their primary weather information source, the television. But you can take a portable weather radio with you.
In some cases, people need to go take shelter, but their shelter is in a basement, and now they've got no other way to get information. Well, you could take that radio downstairs with you, keep listening to it so you can get continued weather information updated to you as you need it.
Weather radios are available at most electronics stores, starting at about $30. They bring you the weather forecast 24 hours a day, but the forecasts are interrupted during severe weather. Make sure to purchase a radio with the automatic alert feature and correctly program it for alerts in your area. While Cramper encourages all families to use weather radios, he says in mobile homes, which are so vulnerable to tornadoes, they are essential. Having a weather alert radio is another part of being storm aware. When it gets ugly outside,
we think that this severe weather outbreak is just getting started.
And the talk turns to severe weather.
Well, this is an area that we think is at very high risk today.
Confusing forecast terms can start flying on screen and on the radio.
A lot of people don't react until they feel threatened. And that's kind of human nature. And then we also know we have an issue with the amount of warnings we put out sometimes.
The National Weather Service understands that forecast terms can be confusing for the general public, which can also become desensitized by the volume of watches and warnings and fail to act even when the threat is severe and immediate. Some people may rely on warning sirens that may not provide as much lead time and that they may not be able to hear.
We want to be able to put a trigger in there that say, hey, maybe if we say this, that's going to trigger in that person's mind, I better really go do something instead of waiting to the last minute.
It's just amazing how many threat levels it takes for some people to react.
In early 2012, the year after the deadly Joplin, Missouri tornado, the Weather Service began briefing broadcast meteorologists and emergency managers on an experiment in Missouri and Kansas using what are called impact-based warnings. The idea is to better communicate the potential danger of particularly powerful storms, the most life-threatening weather events, so the public takes prompt protective action. In April 2013, the experiment was expanded to the entire 14-state National Weather Service Central Region.
Well, we're doing it to try to really get into people's minds, I need to act.
Warning terms are more direct. For what are called considerable tornado threats, they may include these phrases. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Impact, extensive damage to homes and buildings, trees to be uprooted, blocking roads, damaging buildings, homes, and downing power lines. During the May 2013 deadly El Reno, Oklahoma tornado, which at 2.5 miles wide is believed to be the widest tornado on record, the Weather Service used the new terms for what are called catastrophic tornado threats, including tornado emergency, deadly tornado, life-threatening situation. The elevated impact terms will be used for particularly powerful severe thunderstorm warnings, too. They'd get a tagline like, "This is a very dangerous storm."
So that's supposed to get people's attention that this isn't your standard severe thunderstorm warning. This is something a little bit extra.
And remember the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch means atmospheric conditions are favorable for the development of a severe thunderstorm or tornado. A severe thunderstorm warning means it has already developed. A tornado warning means a severe thunderstorm has produced a tornado, or radar indicates a tornado has likely been produced. Understanding weather terms and taking the appropriate response are all part of being storm aware.
In terms of safety during a tornado, it's the last thing you want to have. Big windows like this are easily broken, debris comes flying in.
Meteorologist Jim Cramper is on a different kind of home tour. He and Tim Daimler of Missouri State Emergency Management Agency are not interested in furnishings or style, but in safety during a tornado.
If you're threatened by a tornado, this is the obvious place to go.
For the National Weather Service meteorologist, tornado safety means one place, the basement of this mid-Missouri house.
Your chance of survival in a strong tornado goes up tenfold if you're underground in a basement. If you're not, then it's really risky.
Cramper says the lower you are in a building, the greater your protection, because a tornado is a column of very rapidly rotating air. Trees, buildings, and other ground structures create friction, slowing down the tornado's destructive air rotation.
You can have windows breaking in the top level, roofs flying off in the upper level of a building, and down below that window's not that strong, didn't even break a window.
But Cramper recommends doing more than just getting to the basement. Create additional protection by getting under the stairs, and perhaps even enclosing the stairwell.
That way, if debris does come flying in, you've got some extra shelter of the stairs overhead, a closed area, and you've got a pretty good chance of being very safe and sound.
But what do you do if the house does not have a basement? Cramper's search returns to the next lowest level of the house, and he's looking for interior rooms.
As you can see, we've got a nice solid wall here and a little bit of a hallway, but right next to the front door. So if that door fails, debris can fly right into this hallway. So this would not be a good place to go. As we go in this little area, we've got some possibilities I think that will work very well. We've got a small interior bathroom here, fully enclosed, be a good place to go. And then if you had to, you've got a closet Right here, under this stairwell, again, you could at least two, maybe three people could hide in this closet under the stairwell. That would be a very good place to go.
Cramper also recommends turning up the television for the latest storm information or using a NOAA weather alert radio that you can take with you to your home shelter area.
So you can listen to that and keep up to date. Know when the storms have moved by, know where the latest warnings are.
Ideally, take the radio to the basement, and if there is no basement, remember to put as many walls as possible between yourself and the tornado. It's all part of being storm aware.
Ever been stuck in a car, out driving, see a tornado?
Well, I usually know where to go, but yes,
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of tricky.
Well, some folks don't know what to do, so what do you do if you're in your car? For years, people have been told to never outrun a tornado, but the American Red Cross and the National Weather Service have different thoughts on that. Here's a look. There's a bit of a controversy brewing behind the wheel. What do you do if you see a tornado while driving your car? Should you get out of your car or try to outrun the twister? The experts agree that if the tornado is far enough away and traffic is light, keep driving. But how do you know if the tornado is moving farther away or getting closer? It might take a moment, but stop and use the horizon. If the tornado's getting larger, it's coming closer. If it's getting smaller, it's moving farther away. If it's crossing the road or crossing the horizon, then you're at a safe distance already. You can stop and let the storm pass. But what if there's debris flying overhead or you're too close to the tornado? This is where the debate begins to bubble. The American Red Cross says to get back into your car. Leave the engine running. Put your seatbelt back on. Now, at this point, you want to crouch down as low as possible and then take a blanket and cover your head and hands to protect yourself from the possibility of flying glass. On the other hand, the National Weather Service has long held the stance that vehicles are extremely dangerous. They say you should exit your car or truck. Try to find the lowest spot possible, like a ditch that's down lower than the road. Get down on your hands and knees. Face first, cover your head. But here's one thing everyone agrees on. Avoid taking shelter under a highway overpass or bridge. They still pose a traffic hazard, and they don't protect you from flying debris. To wrap things up, every severe weather event is different. We have to gauge that threat quickly and respond accordingly. Your car does offer you some protection, but obviously it's not your best choice. You want to find a strong, sturdy building. I'm Brett Anthony.
You're watching Staying Safe in Tornado Alley.
If people are living in a mobile home, the key thing for me is planning.
National Weather Service meteorologist Jim Cramper has seen too many times the incredible destruction that a tornado or even a severe thunderstorm can do to a mobile home.
Even in weak, small tornadoes, they're very susceptible to being destroyed. You want to have a substantial shelter you can go to. You plan ahead of time, make sure you have enough time to get there.
Cramper and Tim Daimler of Missouri's State Emergency Management Agency say that mobile home residents must consider what they will do in the event of severe weather before ever moving into their homes. And they should always be aware when the weather forecast calls for even the possibility of severe weather.
You need to know ahead of time, well, thunderstorms are expected today. I better keep my eyes peeled, listen, find out what's going on.
Cramper's recommendations include decide where you will go to take shelter before moving in. A friend or relative's permanent house is a possibility. Make sure you can get in 24 hours a day. Time out the route to your shelter location so you'll be certain that you can get there in time anytime a tornado warning is issued. Always follow weather forecasts and purchase a NOAA weather radio. The radio will sound alerting you to severe weather warnings 24 hours a day. Sign up for severe weather text messages or email alert. And if you do not have time to get to your safe shelter, get out of the mobile home and take cover in a ditch or low-lying area.
I call the lie in a ditch scenario to be a last resort thing. You've got the warning maybe, or you see the tornado coming and you don't have time to get to a shelter. That's when you hide in a ditch or some low spot. The idea is get low. Make all that debris fly right over the top of you. Because again, most people are killed or injured by the flying debris.
Cramper says you also might be vulnerable to lightning, hail, and possible flash flooding, but that a mobile home is simply too lightweight and vulnerable to a tornado even when the mobile home is tied down.
They're not real, it may seem to us heavy, but in terms of a dwelling, they're not very heavy at all. They tend to be long, rectangular. The wind can catch them very easily.
That's why a relative or a friend's permanent house, preferably with a basement, is a better option than sheltering in a mobile home, and why mobile home residents should always be storm aware. Jefferson City's Concord Baptist Church is a very busy place on Sunday. More than 800 people can be in the sanctuary, fellowship halls, classrooms, and meeting rooms during each of 2 morning services.
This section is A. In section A, you would go out this door and go down the hallway and into the stairs. Section D, they will go up these steps, go out that door.
Deacon Dale Schmidt says with so many people and 4 different levels in the large complex, the congregation decided it needed a comprehensive severe weather emergency plan to calmly and quickly get everyone to safe places in the lowest levels of the complex.
If we know that there's some type of storm coming up, we will, on the boards, we will use that. We will remind the congregation which exits they're to use.
High roofs and steel-beamed roofs do not stand up to high wind just because of the broad spans that they are. So we need to get people out of those situations so we can keep them safe.
Evacuating the sanctuary without any bottlenecks.
And then they would come out this door. They would go down this steps.
Is just one part of Concord Baptist's severe weather emergency plan.
Section D is the only section that would be utilizing this stair.
There is space for hundreds of people below ground level or partially below ground level, while church members from the sanctuary would be taking cover in the basement or in interior rooms.
These are 2 kindergarten classes here.
The 3 levels of classrooms, all above ground, would simultaneously be evacuated downstairs. The priority is getting people away from windows and exterior rooms and getting them to the lowest levels of the church complex.
We have them going to different stairwells so that, again, there won't be a choke point where we have people waiting to get down the stairs.
Schmidt says the church's plan calls for Sunday school teachers to keep all their students together. Parents know they will be reunited with the children in prearranged locations in the safe areas downstairs.
They know to come down this hallway, exit this door.
Practicing reassures the younger children, and they're reminded that they'll be reunited with their parents where it's safe.
Their interior walls, they're all concrete all around. So these are all secure areas.
By developing and sharing its comprehensive severe weather emergency plan with its hundreds of members, Concord Baptist Church has taken a powerful step in being storm aware.